On Nationwide this evening, we're in County Wicklow, where we visit one of the country's great heritage houses, Russborough, a gem set in lovely parkland, and it's open to all of us. But first this evening, as a county, Wicklow is very well off indeed for great heritage houses, amongst them Russborough House near Blessington town, or is it a village indeed? Now, it was in the news some decades ago for all the wrong reasons, great art robberies and so on. But that's all behind us now. And these days, well, this 18th century gem set in its unspoilt parkland is actually open to the public. And yes, the pictures are back on the walls. Our Dermot Peavoy went along to have a look.
The narrow, arched entrance to Russborough House and a modest road sign give little indication of the grandeur waiting beyond. Russborough House is over 250 years old. It was built by Joseph Leeson of Dublin's Leeson Street. He also became a Member of Parliament and acquired the title Earl of Milltown. The fortune needed to pay for his magnificent stately home and its original art collection came from brewing.
Russborough is without doubt one of the great houses, not just in Ireland, but it's really a house of European significance.
For the past 6 years, architect James Howley has been overseeing repairs and restoration in this great house. He hugely admires the house, its contents and its landscape setting.
When you go to great houses, there are very few today where you can stand at the front door of the house and do a 180-degree panorama and virtually see hardly another building. I mean, the setting, not just the immediate setting to Russborough in its own domain, but the mountains, the background, you know, there are very few houses that survive, that are so little impacted really by later development.
Richard Castle was the architect. Richard Castle, you know, designed Leinster House, Powers Court, Rotunda, Carton, Castletown, Belvedere. This was the last one. He died before this was finished in 1750. It was built initially.
Anne Reynolds has been conducting guided tours of Russborough for nearly 30 years. She's one of the many locals working here. She's also another great fan of the house.
I love it passionately because of what the architecture, the interior, and then the collection after that. But the house itself in its own right is a very important house. There's a lovely feeling about this house when you even look out, because when you look out the windows, you're looking out at what Leeson looked out. There's very little change in the area since the house was built. It was grazed in the 18th century, and it's still, you look out today, you see sheep out there and cattle, serene and quiet, away from the hustle and bustle of the N81 down the other side. So it brings you back to the 18th century.
In 1952, the house entered a major new era when Sir Alfred Beit bought it with his diamond fortune. He moved here from his London mansion to provide a better setting for his family's internationally famous private collection. Visitors can enjoy wonderful works in the house today, although the most famous paintings of the Beit collection are now in the National Gallery of Ireland. Sir Alfred donated 17 priceless paintings to the gallery in 1986 after the second of 4 multi-million-pound robberies at Russborough. Anne Reynolds was working as a guide in the house at the time of the second robbery, the one carried out by the General.
Well, I cannot describe the way we all felt. We felt terribly let down. We don't own any of these things, but we feel that we're in charge of them, that we're there to look after them for the next generation, and then all of a sudden this is wiped away in one robbery. And it affected Sir Alfred and Lady Beit dreadfully. Remember, they had no children. And this house and its collection were their love and life. And they handed it on to the Irish people. It could have had a devastating effect. It could have literally closed the doors immediately. And I think that's what sunk through us all. Now we're coming out of all of that, and some of the paintings are back on the wall again. And we are very lucky in that the paintings were all found.
The presence of Sir Alfred and Lady Beit is still felt about the house. There are photos and portraits of the couple. The dining table displays some of their wedding presents, and of course, some of their favourite paintings still adorn the walls.
This is Sir Alfred's favourite painting. It's by Jean-Baptiste Oudery, and it's signed and dated 1745. And it's a great example of Oudery's work. Even in the Louvre in Paris, they don't have one as large as this. You can see what's happening. The hounds are pulling away. They're tied up. They're trying to get at the buck here, and there's a pheasant and a duck up on top there. This French painter loved doing these animal paintings. On the back wall are the last owners of Russborough. And you can see how very elegant Lady Bite is down there. These, of course, are when they were much younger. They made a very handsome couple. According to the London Times in 1939, when they got married, they were the most handsome couple married that year.
Russborough is owned and managed by the Alfred Beit Foundation. This is a charitable trust established some 30 years ago when the house was opened to the public. Anne Reynolds remembers the Bites living on in the house afterwards.
We had difficulties from time to time with Sir Alfred wanting to come up to play the pianos while there was a tour going on. And Lady Bite would come up from the West Wing, walk right through and say good morning to all the visitors, and they were thrilled, of course. But they genuinely loved people to come and see the house.
Russborough might be over 250 years old, but it's certainly not ossified or standing still. Maintenance and restoration are forever ongoing in a house of this age and size. And Chief Executive Eric Blatchford and architect James Howley are in constant discussion to draft proposals for further developments. A number of new events are also planned for the house.
We do hope to open the house to other opportunities and events. So we're going to try to develop Russborough as a wedding venue, to also have corporate events in Russborough. And we have now just started a series of evening musical events. The other thing that comes to mind is that we're going to have open-air theatre.
We mustn't forget that Russborough is about fun as well as beauty. Children vote with their feet as they enjoy the adventure of the maze designed by Lady Bite herself.
We often get families and youngsters and school trips to the maze, and they have great fun. It's a very substantial beech hedge maze, so they can get lost in there for quite some time. But obviously, to date, they've all reappeared.
Most people drive down here on Sunday afternoon for maybe afternoon tea or a meal and come to the house, and they really enjoy it. We've a lot of people repeatedly coming back to see the house. There's a great love for the house.
You know, Russborough really is, it's a national treasure, and I think it's one of the greatest gifts of generosity that this state has ever benefited from.
We love it, and we would love to see it being remaining open to the public for the next generation. I think it's very important that this house stays open to the public.
And if you'd like to experience the delights of Russborough House, you can find it just south of the village of Blessington in County Wicklow, and indeed it's very well signposted.